All right, all right. We are back in the saddle. We're back. Y'all know where we are. We're inside of the pastor study. Welcome back to all of you. I know y'all missed us for the past few weeks. We just been trying to get some things together to get our show back up to quality. But we're back, and we're happy to be back, and we're glad that you're back with us. Y'all see who I'm with. We're 2-1 tonight, but that's all right. What's up, Bishop?
What's going on, Doc? What's going on? Look here. I know you're wondering where I've been at, and I've been wondering where you've been at, but it don't even matter. We're back together, and that's all that matters. And boy, whew, it has been a journey. Well, I want to let everybody know I need you to do several things, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. Look here. I need you to call your mama, your cousins, Booty and Baymane, and I need y'all to do something for me. Just a few things. I need you to like. I need you to share. I need you to comment. And most of all, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page, okay? Inside the Pastor Study. But tonight, we got some great preachers here tonight that's going to help us, help you. Because that's all we want to do during this particular time. Help you, help us, help you during this time. Pastor Jones, how you been, man?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Just been busy. We're getting ready to go back into the church this month, so I'm excited about that. I got some members that are excited as well. So wow. I'm gracious for God blessing us through this pandemic. And I told my church on Sunday while we were having parking lot service, the pandemic is going to be what the pandemic is going to be.
Right.
The church has got to get back in order.
We got to continue to go on.
That's where we are. How you been?
Man, I've been wonderful because of you and our other comrade, our brother, Pastor Marquise Lawrence Collins.
And we want to shout out a happy birthday to him. He celebrated on yesterday.
Yes.
He might be still celebrating.
Yeah, Doc, that's why he's not here tonight. Pastor Marquise Lawrence Collins turned 50 years old, and he's been celebrating ever since. So, Doc, we just want to tell you that we're very proud of you. We're very happy that you're in our life. He turned 50 years old on Monday. Pastor Marquise Lawrence Collins, the proud pastor of the Mount Olive Baptist Church in Winona, Texas. So, hey, my brother, dear friend, happy birthday, man.
Y'all shout out a happy birthday to him as well.
Yeah, man. So, look here. You mentioned being in the parking lot. He's been in the parking lot for a mighty long time. We had our share out there about a month and a half, just trying to be creative during this time because, hey, man, you have to think of creative ideas to keep the relevancy of the gospel ministry.
Right.
It's easy for some people to say, just preach Jesus, and that is true.
Yes.
The message stays the same, but we had to use some different methods.
And still gonna have to.
And still have to. So with that being said, we got some guys here tonight that's going to talk about some of their methods, some of the things that they're doing. It's amazing because they are in the great state of Texas. They are gospel giants. And most of all, they're in 3 different parts of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
You already know, being in Tyler, we have to travel up I-20.
Yeah.
We have to go up I-20. You know what I'm saying? And we got somebody from the D. You know what I'm saying? Then, while you're in Dallas, every now and then you got to go down 45. 45 South.
Yeah.
Got somebody in here from H-Town.
Okay.
And then, if you're in H-Town, just go over and hit 290. Past Prairie View, and you'll go right to Austin, Texas. Right. So, look here. I'm excited tonight.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm going to tell you, can I bring in the first guy? Look, this first guy, man, is a preacher par excellence. He's a great friend, great brother of mine. Truth be told, every major moment of my life, he has found a way to always be there. Ever since we were kids. You hear that? Kids. Back when I was skinny.
What?
Yeah.
That was about 50 years ago.
Back when I was skinny. He's been there, man. I mean, we've always been close. We're so close. Matter of fact, his birthday is literally 30 days after mine.
Oh, okay.
We're so much in tune. We both got married the same year. He got married a few months ahead, and I got married a few months behind him. And guess what? He was in the wedding.
Okay.
He was in the wedding.
Awesome.
That's just how, no matter where we relocated
Now, why
to.
I wasn't in the wedding?
I didn't know you did.
You know what?
Well, I knew of you. But that's another story. Anyway, coming in live right now from Austin, Texas, one of the staff pastors at the Greater Mount Zion Church, under the leadership of Dr. Galen Clark, is none other than my good friend, my brother, Pastor Vicente Coatney.
What up, fam?
What's going on, man?
Hey,
This
man,
is
how
Roy
are you?
Jones here. God, dog it. I'll tell you. Can't make this up. What's going on, V? How you been?
Man, what's up, bud? How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's good to be here. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, man, real quick.
Listen, my name is Vicente Coatney, and in short, I am a lover of God, I am a lover of my family, and I'm a lover of people in that order. I am blessed and honored to serve as one of the staff pastors at the Greater Mount Zion Church here in Austin, Texas. I've been on staff for the last 11 years now, serving an amazing man of God. I am the husband to one amazing, incredible, super duper bad sister on the planet. Her name is Joanna, and we are the parents to one son, Vicente III, and he is our world and is our lives. And I'm gonna be frank, you probably gonna hear him. He probably gonna bust in a time or two, because I've been away at the office all day long, and he ain't seen his daddy today, and so he gonna probably want to come and hang out with his daddy. Is that cool?
Yeah, matter
Okay.
of fact, tell nephew I said hey, and everybody got a Sigma shirt ready for him.
Don't even.
I got a Sigma shirt ready for him.
Don't even, man.
Well, look here. I'm gonna be right back to you, V. I gotta bring somebody else in, my homeboy. Look, great friend, inspired me while I was young. Always looked out for me. No, the Lord put some great people in my life. Hadn't the Lord did that for you?
Yeah, he did.
Lord has put great people in my life, man, and I'm certainly grateful for it. Family and friends. Look here. This man gave me my first Ralph Lauren suit.
Okay.
I was skinny back then, y'all. He gave me my first Ralph Lauren suit, okay?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was gray and, you know, with blue pinstripes. And I remembered it. So, man, I tell you, man, he is a great person, great friend, great mentor. He has been to the chapel. He has preached. Last year, he allowed me to stand in his pulpit while he was out. He's an excellent barber. Matter of fact, when I'm in Houston, that's who's cutting my hair. No offense, Pokey, but that's who is cutting my hair. So none other. I got to bring him in, y'all. He is the proud pastor of the Greater St. Paul Baptist Church, Houston, Texas. What up, hey, Dad?
What it do, my brothers? How y'all doing?
All right, man. All right. We got Pastor Arthur Williams in the house tonight. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Pastor Williams.
Well, once again, Arthur Williams is my name. I was raised, been in Houston all of my life. The husband of Miss Shalika Williams, and we have 3 beautiful children. Personally, I have one son. His name is Chase Theodore Williams. Amen. And 2 daughters, Trinity and Zoe. Like I said, I'm up here at the church right now, so unlike Vicente, I won't be having any interruptions. So I've been here at Greater St. Paul now for going on 3 years. I often tell people I remember it like yesterday. It was clear skies, birds was chirping at about 4:52 p.m. on September 30th, 2017, when I got that phone call from Deacon L.D. Williams to inform me that I had won the popular vote to become the pastor of Greater St. Paul. And it has been a joy serving the people here at this congregation for the past 3 years.
Wow. Thank you. I got one more person I got to bring in. I told y'all I had some people in here tonight. I need y'all to continue to do it. Come on, like, share, comment. Call your cousin, call your mama, call your auntie and them, call your 3rd grade teacher, call your 5th grade teacher. Call them, tell them to tune in right now inside the pastor study. We gonna talk a little minute. We ain't gonna talk all night, but we gonna talk a little minute, all right? The next person, look here, man. We come a mighty long way. I met this brother in college. it's amazing because I got a chance to see this brother really grow.
Uh-huh.
I've seen this brother from the streets
Uh-huh.
to the pulpit.
Okay.
I've seen this brother, man. You would be amazed
Yeah.
of how the Lord has blessed him.
Okay.
Matter of fact, now he was also a part of my wedding.
Okay.
Matter of fact, when it came to the point when I said, Doc, I'm ready to get married, and I told him to introduce him to Kobe, he said, that's the one.
That's the one. Okay.
He said, that's the one. That was his exact words.
Yeah.
He said, you'll be foolish not to marry.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And so, man, look here. Man, not only is he my brother, my friend, in ministry, as well as fraternally, because if I'm going to have one Kappa on here tonight, I got to have at least one brother of Phi Beta Sigma, Beta Phi chapter, man, none other than the pastor of the Morning Star, Missionary Baptist Church in South Dallas, Texas.
South Dallas, Texas. That's right. Good evening, fellas.
Silent, right?
The TH is silent, sir.
It's
Yes,
silent.
sir. Good evening.
What's
How you
going
doing,
on?
brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, brother, before we get
Good
into our
thing.
conversation.
Again, my name is Pastor Darren G. Bell. I am the pastor of Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church. I'll be celebrating 2 years of pastoring there September the 27th. I served there probably about a year and a half or so before as assistant pastor. I've been going to this church all my life, so it was kind of a meant to be situation almost. I served under my pastor, Calvin Thomas, at the time, and he just was always kind of grooming me. Served there as a junior deacon, went off to school, and live life, live life. But got my life back right and started serving there. I am the proud husband to Sister Monique Bell. I have 3 wonderful children. A 13-year-old who started 8th grade today. I have a 4-year-old who started pre-K 4 today, and a 4-month-old who just screamed today. So y'all may hear a little bit of some of them. But that is mostly about me. Have my MBA from University of Texas and finishing up my MDiv right now at Liberty University.
All right, man. We're
All
glad
right,
to have you.
All right, man.
Bless
Just
you. Bless
everybody else. It's time for y'all to come on inside the pastor study. So, Doc. We got Pastor Courtney. We got Pastor Arthur Williams. And we got Pastor Vicente Courtney and Pastor Bell. So, tonight, we want to let y'all know, basically, we appreciate y'all for being here with us. But let's get right into it. During this particular time, we know that it has most definitely been different. It's been challenging. It's been different. And so what we want to talk about tonight is basically this. As we move forward, where do we go from here? Right? Where do we go from here? Back in March, we all had certain plans. We thought that we was going to be on a 2-week vacation from our churches. And then that 2 weeks turned into 2 months. And now it's nearly almost 8 months later. And so we have those who are here. Pastor Bell, I want to talk to you. What have some things that you have been doing during this particular time to prepare your people for such a time like this?
Well, interestingly enough, this year we had already planned on doing some parking lot services and outside services, really to get the community involved and kind of get our neighborhood back involved in our church. So that was already a plan. When COVID came, it was just a matter of, okay, what do we do now? So what we've been doing, we started live streaming immediately once they shut down the churches. After that, we came back in the building for about a month, and then the numbers started picking up again in Dallas County. So then we went to parking lot services. But right now we're streaming Facebook Live every Wednesday, every Sunday, and then also updating those and uploading them on YouTube. Just trying to get viewership there. We're doing some live Bible studies, having people to chime in with questions, stuff like that via inbox. We've just been trying to do some creative things as far as making sure we're staying out there and letting people know who we are and everything else.
What about you, sir? Pastor Williams, what about you,
Oh,
sir?
okay, yeah, we must have disconnected for a second. My main thing has always been how to try to answer the question of staying connected and how do we keep the people connected, because I believe that when there's a disconnect, there's a loss of power. And so, like I said, everything kind of came up on us at once. Here at Greater St. Paul, I always told them that we was kind of behind in reference of time to where it's 2020, and it's just some things that we needed that we didn't have. So one of the things that this COVID pushed us to do is get some of the necessities that we need as far as being able to evangelize a little different. We no longer knock on doors. I believe one of the biggest tools of evangelism is social media. So, we chimed in on the social media page. And then another thing that I had to think about is some of our senior citizens, because over here we're about 70% elderly. And because they are not social media savvy, we had to stick with the phone trees and the calls that way. And so we have small groups, men's ministry, women's ministry. We one of the things as a pastor is natural for me, and that is to check on members periodically from time to time. And things like that may be small, but it plays a big part as far as people wanting to remain connected. So that's the main thing that we do over here is try to ensure that people stay connected and know what's going on here at the church.
Right. Courtney, man, V.
Hey, so listen, I want to first begin by commending every pastor, every lead and senior pastor who is navigating this season. I, as of now, am not serving in a senior pastor role, and yet I personally am beginning to feel the weight of missing the people. And these, God has given me a group of people with whom to shepherd and kind of lead under, of course, our senior pastor. And I'm thinking about just how much I am missing them. I can only imagine what every senior and every lead pastor is experiencing during this time. And so I want to commend you brothers for doing what you do and doing what you do with a level of excellence, whatever that is. In our context, we have always kind of tried our best. We prided ourselves on leveraging automation. In fact, it's one of our values, automation. We like to use the best of technology to help push the ministry forward. We kind of use that whole line that Paul speaks to when he says, in an attempt to, I had to be everything to all people in an attempt to win some. So God, we believe God has brought automation to the world, and it was intentional. So we've been trying to use it as an opportunity and as a tool to reach people. This was pre-COVID, of course. But for us, in our context, we've always, pre-COVID, we were online. Fortunately enough for us, a good number of our members were giving online already. And so we've been trying to do the best in terms of leveraging automation. I think the transition for us here in Austin was moving, watch this, from church online to an online church. That is the challenge that we've been having to navigate. The mistake that we made in the interim, in the beginning portion of our ministry, was that we were trying to fundamentally take what we were doing in the worship service and just put it online. And for us, for our people, they appreciated it, but it wasn't fully representative of what we know we can do. And so we've been in this season where we transitioned from just doing church online to actually moving to an online church, to actually think about what does church look like in this online space. And let's be honest, gentlemen, it don't look like what it would look like if we were in the sanctuary. To what Marshall mentioned earlier, the message stays the same, but the method by which that message is disseminated to the people is different. People are no longer listening to 45-minute sermons, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a preacher who's committed to making sure that I do my best whenever I get the opportunity to stand, to try to make sure that I do my due diligence to the text, I realize I may not be able to go as deep as if I were, if I had them in the building, right? Because the attention span is shorter. I read something recently that said the average human has an attention span that is shorter than a goldfish. Because of what technology has done for us, and things like that, Vine and TikTok videos, we have shorter attention spans. And so just trying to figure out what that looks like. We can talk more about it in depth, but that's kind of where we've been here in Austin, trying to figure out what does it look like to move from church online to an online church.
That's a good thing you just said, Pastor. But here's the question. Mm-hmm. Since we know what we've been doing during the pandemic, how does the church look moving forward? Let's talk about that. Pastor Bill?
I think we honestly have to have a hybrid almost situation where we're talking about utilizing our technology, as Pastor Vicente said. Basically, we have to learn how to utilize both technology and still have the physical presence as a church. The biggest thing with us is we the same way, like Pastor Williams said, we've gotten away from knocking on doors. When I first started pastoring there, we were beating the doors down. Hey, come over here to come to church. We had 5,000 flyers printed for the whole neighborhood. But that kind of evangelism and going out and witnessing, it's not as effective anymore. For one, people weren't at home during that time. Now they are, but they're still not going to open the door and talk to you because of everything going on. So I think right now what we have to do is find ways to get people engaged through started conversations and having those conversations also, which people don't generally want to talk about in church because of maybe embarrassment or maybe the experience of hurt. What we've been doing the last month or so was this hot topic Bible study. So we talked about the things that's going on in the world. We talked about oppression and slavery as it's mentioned in the Bible, and went through all of those difficult topics to talk about, but it got people engaged. And we talked about family structure so we can focus on the home. So I think we have to, as pastors, start mixing in those topics that are relative to what's going on and try to bring people and get them engaged to want to study the Bible, to want to turn and say, hey, everything going on right now, where can I find the answer? Where can I find some guidance and something? But in order to do that, it's just like Sensei said, we have to basically approach quickly. We have to get that information out there quickly, disseminate it to people to get the engagement, even if it is doing short promo videos. People act like you can't promote the church, like you can't get out there and say, here's a commercial for the church. You shouldn't do that. Well, if we're trying to get the word of God out and all of this is available, then we have to use every available avenue. I think if you're inside of a church, you have to have technology to stream it. If you're going to be outside, you need to have the ability to go out and set some speakers up and just do all of these different things to keep people involved. And we got to do more community events. The biggest thing about a believer, a Christian, is they'll know us by the way we love one another.
Right.
We got to get back to loving people. We got to get back to saying, hey, listen, we have a healthcare screening, or we have free food, or we have these clothing. We got to get back to community involvement, because if we don't do that, then people will never walk through the door anyway.
Well, I like that, because I think that mirrors what Jesus commanded us to do. I think the mistake that we made as a church, Big C Church, is that instead of going and making disciples, we became a come and see kind of church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
And the reality is, right, our culture, let's be honest, there are other better, more fun things to do on Sunday morning than come to church.
Wow.
Let's be honest. Listen, this COVID-19 thing has given me the opportunity to do something that many of our parishioners would do after our services. They could go to brunch.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, many of them wouldn't even come to church when we were in the building. They just spend that, get their little mimosa or whatever and do whatever it is, they breakfast or whatever. And so there are other things than going to church. Church for many people is on the bottom. And if they do come, many of them, for the average person who's coming, not the church babies like us, for the average person, for the people we're trying to reach, we've got to move past that come and see mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what that does is that puts undue pressure on the church to be something that it is not.
Yes.
It is not a social club.
Amen.
Right?
Right.
And yet at the same time, we have a responsibility to go, as Jesus said, and make disciples. So I love what Pastor Bell has been speaking to and what he's been doing, going and actually letting the community know the value that the church is bringing to the community. I think is great as well. So I think we've got to go back. So while we're moving forward in terms of how we engage and what that engagement looks like and leveraging technology, we still cannot forget the old relics and the old landmarks, the old principles. Our faith as a church rests on this whole idea of going and making disciples and baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit, then teaching them. So, I just wanted to echo what Pastor Bell said. I think that's kind of what we're aiming to do.
That's good, man. Pastor Williams?
Well, I believe it was the fourth Sunday in March was the first Sunday that I've ever preached in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something brand new to me. I was not comfortable at all, but it was something that I had to do because there were no people inside of the building. So I set my iPad up in front of me and hit play on my recorder and played a church song and preached the gospel. And from that point on, we've been trying to develop in how we present ourselves to a world that I don't know who is even much looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
And so going forward, I believe I can speak for our church is that we have to invest in media equipment. I heard Pastor Courtney say earlier that their church was already kind of set up before COVID to be able to do some things so they could still receive the income, the tithe offerings that they were already receiving. And so for us, we didn't even much have an operable website.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing pressure does is that it pushes you to do things that you should have been doing. And so it's like, instead of waiting on people to come to us, we've been more engaged in going out to people, letting us know, hey man, But when I first got to this church, I would run into people and they say, okay, you're the pastor of what church? And I said, well, I'm the pastor of Greater St. Paul. They said, where's Greater St. Paul? It's in South Park. Where is South Park? 610 Martin Luther King. Okay, I know what 610 Martin Luther King is. I said, well, by the baked potato patch. I know where the baked potato patch is with a railroad track. Yeah, I can see the railroad track. 2 gas stations. Yeah, we know where the gas stations. And what they showed me is that people know about everything else around this church, but I don't know nothing about the church. So the question has always been, now what do we do, or how can we promote our church more? And I believe this is what COVID has done for our church, is that it forced us to do what we should have been doing as a church, to be able to promote not so much as the church, but the church as far as Jesus Christ. I've been doing a Bible study on getting back to the basics. And one thing I noticed about the first church in Acts chapter 2 is that they had a strong vocabulary of Jesus and the resurrection. They didn't have a whole lot of budget planning meetings and a whole lot of other stuff. They just pretty much told people what they knew. And one thing they knew is that Christ resurrected, and they witnessed and evangelized. And so one of the things that we've been kind of lax on is opening up our mouths to people when we have an opportunity to witness to them. And it's been paying off dividends. And I'm not talking about financially now. I'm talking about more people just more interested in what does this particular church have to offer. So moving forward, even though we've made great strides, in progressing, I believe we still have a long way to go to get to the place where we really need to be.
Yeah.
I think COVID has really opened our eyes, like you said, Pastor Williams, to see the church in a different light. I think we all can testify that we see what we've been doing, maybe not as effective as it could have been, because we were going through the motions. We were comfortable just doing what we were doing inside of the building, and now we've been having to do things to reach out. I mean, everybody's online now. That's a evangelism method that we've been doing, and now some people are having a hard time, or have been having a hard time, this whole 7 months, 8 months. So I think we see the church in a different light, and I think this is a good time. And I'm gonna just say this because I'm convicted at my own church. I think this is a good time for us to reevaluate some things that we have been doing, and to put some other things in place that it can be more effective to draw people to Christ. And that ought to be our ultimate goal. I think the church has gotten away from that. What do y'all got to say?
You know what I find to be really interesting about what you said, Pastor Jones? This whole idea of we realizing COVID has forced us to realize certain things about ourselves as a church. Here's what's interesting about that. The people have been trying to tell us this with their feet for the last 10 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like, let's be real. Like, they've been telling us this.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, for some of us, we've been so attached to what was. Like,
Yes, sir.
I'll be honest. It feels like, for me, this is just my personal estimation, the church is always 5 to 10 years behind culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yes,
we
sir.
should be leading culture, right? And so when I think about what the church looks like, I'll give one example. I think on some level, mental health, we've been talking about this for a long time. This is just one of many things that can be done, right? Spoken to. Why don't we have a ministry that speaks to counseling? If your church can afford to have a staff person, why not consider having a counselor on staff?
Right.
That way that's something taken off. Watch this. The pastor.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
You understand? If your church can't afford that, then okay, who are some counselors in the community who you trust your people with, who will show them how to navigate this in a way that would honor God and help them to navigate that season, whatever that season is, that trial, in a way that would honor God. So that's, again, one of many things. Again, the culture has been trying to tell us this for years, and God was like, listen, church ain't listening. So let's just go all the way back to the beginning. This is my own personal estimation. I'm not saying that this is the word of God from the word of God. I'm just saying that's just kind of what I feel.
No, I agree, because I think the pandemic allowed us to reevaluate some things, and I think it opened us up to see what we have erred.
Right.
We have been erred.
I'm dealing with it. I got to be devil's advocate real quick.
Please.
There's nothing wrong with guide me on thy great Jehovah.
Listen, I'm not saying
Hear
that.
from through this battle land.
I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I think that there's great value in it, right? But if that's all you have,
Right.
that might not be as attractive to the people we are going to be reaching in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm saying. I think
so. I guess the question is, let's just be real. Tag, look, those who watch it, tag everybody, because Bishop finna say it tonight. I'm finna say it. Are we valuable?
Oh yeah.
Is the church a valuable institution?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we want to know. Let's talk.
Okay.
Let's be in
The
the
church-
Let's talk.
Yeah. The church is most definitely valuable. I mean, even things that are behind time can still have value.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we got to start looking at. We were one time a shining diamond, but now we're that diamond in the rough. Like, we need to be taken out again and be shined and polished and get brought to that beautiful light so that people can see the value that we have. We missed that opportunity. And I can speak specifically for my church. When I became a deacon in my church, I was talking to my pastor then, letting them know, hey, we got some things in here that we probably need to start working on right now because we're a little behind. I mean, my church is 100 years old next year. I'm the fourth pastor in this church. The last pastor probably served till he was almost 70. So you got to think, when you're going through that and you're used to kind of the same thing, then you're not thinking about social media. You're not thinking about online availability for funding or anything else. You're thinking about, I got to keep preaching this word. I got to drive this word home. And a lot of times when it happens, we miss all the other opportunities. So what happened was when I came in as a deacon, I was talking to my pastor, hey, listen, let's try this. Let's go ahead and fix this. Because you can see people walking out of the church. And they weren't walking out of the church because, they just hated the sermon. They was walking out of church because they weren't engaged. And that's where you start losing the values when the people are not engaged, because you have to basically take a person from saying, hey, I received Christ, to them then being a disciple to say, let me show you why to receive Christ. If we don't do that, then people are just sitting there and just preach for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, talking about, in 3 days he got up. After hearing that 52 times a year, you stop saying, I don't know if it's for me. So yeah, we got to be engaged. Like Pastor Cody said, we got to get some programs and some things in the church, no matter how big or small. I'm at a smaller church, but we do some big activities. We do some big things in the community, and I'm one of those people. If I got 5 people in here, and guess what? These 5 people are going to try to reach 100 people by any means necessary. I mean, if we got to go out here and tell them, hey, we're going to throw a concert with a gospel order. We ain't got hardly no money to put in it, but we're going to find a way to make it happen. We done had live recording orders and everything else at a small church. But it's just a matter of saying, hey, I realize the church is not where it should be. I realize we're not connecting with the community. Let's change. Let's fix it. And then knowing as a pastor, as a deacon, that, hey, you got to be willing to listen to what the people are saying and make the changes. You can't shut people down because it says the word never changes. Yeah, the word never changes. The method in which we deliver it, the content that's around it, all of that changes.
So what about
All of that has changed.
So what about a person, especially Pastor Williams, Pastor Colton, Pastor Bell? What about a person who's been going through the changes of life? 2020 has been hell, and when they look at it, when they scrolling on their device and they're looking at different situations that they're going through, it's been hell, and they feel like that the church is null and void, or the pastor is null and void. How can we reach people, right? Virtually or in person, because some people didn't have that option, when they automatically feel that the God that we're claiming and preaching about don't care about them because of what's going on. What do y'all think about that? Because somebody's going to be hit with that.
I'm going to defer to the senior pastor.
Well, I would say that as irrelevant as people may try to make God to be, God is very relevant. I think it was Jay-Z and Kanye, they had a song that said, what's a mob to a king? What's a king to a God? And what's a God to an unbeliever who don't believe in anything? Well, God don't need the approval of people to be God. And
Amen.
so I think the closest Christ that they're saying, we've been saying it since the church conception, is that people ain't gonna pick up what we pick up and read and see Christ. They see Christ through us.
Yes, sir.
And so I think when we show compassion, when we show love, when we show genuine leadership, when we are visible to people, and I know that a lot of times we don't want that responsibility on us because it entails a heavy weight. But like I told the church Sunday, to whom much is given, much is required. And we have to go beyond the norm to ensure that God remains relevant in the lives of many people who are still unbelievers. Somebody said that 2020 is a wasted year. I believe it's a wasted year if you didn't learn anything. And it's a sad indictment, especially to the pastor who don't learn nothing in the midst of a pandemic and trials and situations and different things like that. Because when we fold, typically the people fold too. Yeah. And so, it just kind of forced me, even at times that I'm just being honest, even at times where I'm like, God, I don't know. Then I have to reassure myself that even though I don't know, God knows, and I got to lift my head up, and I'm not faking it, but I do have to present myself a certain way before people, Because if I fail, chances are that they may fail. And so,
I kind of think that if the church is going to be relevant to the world, it first got to be relevant to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, we're going through the motions, and our people, like he said, stop coming when we don't have that passion for him anymore. We don't have that excitement or that zeal for God anymore. How can the world be excited about something that we're not?
Yeah,
That's the thing. They can't.
yeah.
It's hard for. I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No, you got it, boss. You got it, boss.
Yeah, you can't get excited for something that the person that you're looking at saying, hey, this is the leader of the church, or right now, you can't look at them and get excited if they're not. Like I said just last Sunday, like we gotta learn how to be hype men for Jesus. Like if we're not getting up there saying Jesus is all, he's my all in all, and we're not excited about it, then nobody else is coming to be excited about it. You may get a visitor this Sunday, but I can guarantee you they won't be back the next. Because your heart is in the wrong place, your mind is in the wrong place. I think one of the biggest things with this pandemic and people saying God doesn't care about me or God doesn't know me is simply because there's not a true relationship with God. They lack that piece. And if you lack the true relationship with God, you'll never understand that even in troubled times, in these bad situations, that God is still working. God is still evident in your life. You still here. COVID been around for since December, actually. We just started closing stuff in March. But there's a whole lot of people that haven't been affected. And they've been to every Walmart, Costco, and everything else. But they're not waking up saying, thank God. They waking up saying, why is this still happening? So we got to get to the point of people just having a true relationship instead of just wanting Job at the beginning or Job at the end when he got his blessing. They don't want to go through Job in the middle. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to go through the hurt because they don't understand the relation yet. They don't have the relationship. So I think we have to get back to teaching and having those discussions with people. Have you counted your blessings one by one so that they'll be able to see God for who he truly is, and that's the keeper, a person who loves.
Yeah, I was going to add again, I'm speaking as a staff pastor. I don't have the burden of serving as a senior pastor, but I often, in this moment, I'm reminded of what my senior pastor has said to me on several occasions. He says, V, whenever that door does open, of course, over time, but ultimately you want to pastor the kind of church that you would want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pastor in such a way
Yes,
that
sir.
you pastor the kind of church that you would want to go to? I bring that up because all of us are under 50, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
Don't think,
okay. and yet, for many of our churches, they still function like 70s and 80s church. When the culture is it's a completely different culture. So my role on staff is multi-purpose. I serve as the pastor of assimilation, which means I'm the one responsible, Pastor Bell, of making sure, one, that they know Jesus, and then helping them to assimilate into the life of the church, make sure they get discipled into our small groups and things of that nature. So that's one of my roles. But beyond that, I served for forever as the pastor of college students. And when I started, I was pastoring my peers, and I felt relevant. I felt very relevant because I was just freshly removed from the campus. I still knew some of the students, underclassmen who were there. But as I've gotten older, now that I'm a father and a husband, I'll be honest, 11 years now into it, I don't know what's going on these college campuses in terms of the type of, I don't feel like I can personally relate.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, I'm convinced that they need God more than ever. I'm with them. And I think it's probably true of more people than we'd like to admit. As preachers, this, we're trying to convince people that they need something that they are not even sure that they even want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like every time we preach, we're preaching to people, trying to convince them to embrace something that we know that they need, but they don't even really want. And that's the tension that we live in, right? That's the tension I think we'll always be in. But I will say this again, I'm not a senior pastor. I'm going to say that throughout the balance of this show. I'm not a senior pastor, and I don't know that pressure. And I don't have that burden. But I've been around church and church folk long enough. I've been
Yes,
Black
sir.
and Baptist my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak with some level of authority on this. I think what God is trying to show us is that many of the people who we thought were saved ain't really saved.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that's the key.
Yep.
I think that's a very good point, and I like that analogy you use. We're giving people something that they need, but they really don't want. Y'all remember your mama would break out that bottle of medicine that you didn't like,
Man,
and you would close your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't want that. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that, not just in COVID, post COVID, after COVID.
yes, sir.
We're dealing with that, and we're gonna have to deal with that in a different manner to reach more. See, we're so worried about are the people coming back, but are we still reaching out to get other people in?
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that live next to our churches that don't come to our churches. There's some people that live in our members' houses that don't come to our churches. Those are the people that we need to be reaching out to.
You're right. And I will say this, and I thought about this the other day, and I said I was going to share this with some of my team, my leadership team here at the chapel. And I said, if our church was to close today, would the community miss us?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
We would miss it because, hey, I grew up in it. I was baptized. I was married. But would the community miss us? I think that's what each pastor got to ask themselves. The community that your church is in. If your church was to officially close its doors and it become the abandoned building that many churches have become, would the community miss it? Would would they even care that you're not there anymore? And so that's what I think we need to kind of cultivate our mind around and say, hey, we need to do something that says we want to be relevant as a ministry, as a body. Yes, you may not be a senior pastor yet, but you have a critical role, because between the ages of 18 to 24, when you're on these college campuses, especially at the universities that are not Christian based, you know what I'm saying? They have different classes, different people with different religions come there. And there have been some people that found Jesus through college.
Sure.
And there have been some people who left Jesus while they was in college. And now they are in other religions or other things, or in some cases, cults, or they just became a non-believer. So when you look at that, it is so relevant, because people say, well, hey, in some cases, man, you have Jarvis Christian College. You have that's founded by the Christian Church. You have Wiley College, the Methodist Church. You have Texas College, the Christian Methodist Church. You have Paul Quinn, the AME. And it seems like the devil visit those campuses way more than any other campus.
For sure. I agree. In fact, that same question that you asked, Marshall, is the same question our pastor asked us as a staff and as a leadership team 10 years ago. And for us, I think that led to us making sure that we did to what Pastor Bell has spoke to earlier, doing more ministry outside of the building. I think what this season has taught us, we've heard it, we've said it all at some point or another. The church is bigger than the building.
Yep.
And God is reminding us that if the building is shut down, if it does become that old abandoned building, the church still should have some relevance in the community. And again, that goes back to us making sure that we go and make disciples. The early church, Pastor Williams, they didn't have no buildings.
Right.
I mean, they had the temple court. They met in the temple court. But fundamentally, ministry growth took place, watch this, in house to house.
Right. Wait. You said what? It took place where?
House to house.
House to house. Let's talk about the house. Pastor Williams, as a man who is married, and you have a blended family, what are some of the tools that you use in blending the family like you're doing, that can help them with the ministry? You have two younger, you got a teenager who just graduated high school, who's getting ready to transfer into adulthood. So how is that, the balance of the blended family?
Well, it's funny you should have asked that, because I have a unique blended family. Like I say, my wife, she has two girls, me, my son. One of her girls with special need. So what happened is a lot of the times the older sister looked out for the younger sister being special need. But now my son has come in and relieved a little bit of that burden. So, as far as blending a family together, I think me and my wife, we both have certain do's and don'ts that we just kind of stick to. We just have a foundation of parenting. And it was an easy blend for us because her children were respectable. My son is respectable. She don't have no problem out of my son. I don't have no problem out of her daughters. And so our blend is just kind of fit naturally, to where if I didn't tell no one that we were a blended family, they would not know that we're a blended family. To where her daughters may not call me daddy, but they treat me like daddy, and my son, vice versa, treat her as mother. So, it just, I thank God for that. I hear horror stories from other guys who blend up families together, but God has been very kind to me to where we don't struggle in that area.
Right. We and what we're talking about tonight, it helps us all. We've heard comments that say people beyond the four walls of ministry and different things like that. We thank God for all y'all that are watching, and please continue to like, share, and comment. And if you'd like to sow a seed, you can do so by hitting up our Cash App, which is Inside the Pastor Study 2020. Now, I want to say, because we want to make sure we bring you great quality, okay? Because normally when you talk about money, that's when people start dropping, okay? But when we look at it, Pastor Bell, Pastor Courtney, we were all in college around the same time, and some of us went to church. And I tried to stay away from it. And don't let Pastor Bell fool y'all. He was an event coordinator.
Oh Lord! I heard you were.
That Negro was he was in charge of the parties.
No doubt. And
Yeah.
but we had to switch that. And so when people talk about promoting Jesus, when we was promoting the party, all we had to do was slide the flyer on the car, and people came.
Mhm.
It was word of mouth, and people came. Different promo teams, and people came. But now, when you talk about churches, you got so many to go to. It's about who has the best choir. Who ain't gonna lie, one time, I don't know if I should say this.
Come on, say it. We inside the study.
We in the study. One time, a student told me, I don't think I should say this.
Come on, Doc.
One time he told me, Bishop, you preach good, but your choir suck.
Oh man.
You said it.
Don't feel bad. I had somebody tell me that they didn't come to church because they need to go hear a choir that morning.
I was like, what? They sounded good to me. So it's like, what do the average pastor who's going into pastoring, who goes into this, who's trying to reach that younger crowd, and they're looking, they looking for that place to go to, and they hear this young crowd, but the style of church and the sound of the church that you may lead or that you're at, what do you do with it?
So here's what I would say. I would say, first of all, don't try to be like anybody else. Being inauthentic, lacking authenticity can be snuffed out by these millennials and Gen Zs like that. And more than relevance, that'll be the reason as to why they don't want to mess with you, because you're not being authentic. So I battled with this because I'm an old school Black Baptist preacher. That's who I am. That's who I'm gonna probably forever be.
Okay.
And so when I would go on these college campuses, and even now in this season where I'm having the opportunity to serve with our student ministry, we had a transition with our student pastor, and for the last year or so, I've been kind of serving as an interim student pastor. I thought, I'd had to put on jeans with holes in them and Chelsea boots in order to be well received, and they were like, "No, you ain't got to do that. Just be you." And watch this. Make sure that, so authenticity, not only in terms of your outward appearance, but authenticity in terms of what you've experienced. I think part of relevance for millennials is being real and saying, listen, the reason why I call myself a Christian, the reason why I've given my life to Jesus Christ is because I'm so jacked up that if Jesus don't come into my life, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And being open and honest about those areas where you struggle. As pastors, we have a tendency to kind of have like this people have lofty views of us. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's warranted or unwarranted, they think that we are more than we actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about being able to say, listen, I struggled, I have struggled, or at times I do struggle just like you. I think that more than anything is the relevance that they're looking for. And the other part I would say to that is just be excellent, whatever excellence looks like on your level. So for us at our church, excellence is a standard. It's not a goal we're trying to meet every week. And for us, excellent is making sure that we do the very best that we can in that particular moment. It doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean we're going to always have everything all the way together. It just means in this moment, I have given God my best. I've given, in terms of whatever equipment we may have, is going to be the best that we can afford on our level, because excellence is a standard and not a goal we're trying to reach every week. So I think those two things, be excellent and be authentic.
I like that what you said. We always preach about taking the word, but now we have taken on a different mentality that not only does the word have feet and hands, but the church has feet and hands. And I think those young people were trying to let you know you don't have to change because you're the church. We got to change because you're the church.
Sure.
And I think the church have went from being the thermometer, from the thermostat.
Yes, sir.
We got to get back to that.
And I just want to say for the record, my choir don't suck. My choir is actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
And who is Bishop John coming soon?
Even if they do, that ain't really you probably know your culture and your context a whole lot better than we do. But I would imagine at this point, with the way that God has gifted you to preach, your church is probably more built on ministry and preaching than it is on singing anyway. It may have been that way in the beginning. You know what I mean? But with the way that you preach and with the way that you love people come to your church now because they know they're going to hear a good word and Bishop going to love on me.
Oh, man, that's so nice. I will put your cash app up there, but this ain't your show.
It's fine. We good.
Oh, man.
And another thing I like to add about being authentic, not only must we be authentic as individuals, but you got to be comfortable with the way you do ministry. Now, I do understand that we say that, we become all, that we win some, but sometimes some people go to certain churches for different reasons. Like I had someone tell me, and I think this is probably one of the finest ministries there is, and they say, I don't like the church without walls. I'm like, huh? Man, that's Ralph West, man. They got this going on, they got that going on, they got this. Some people don't like large churches. That's what I'm saying. They like the smaller church. But when the people come to our smaller churches, I guess the question is now, what do we have to offer them to keep them, and then they begin to grow and develop? Because for me, that's my overall purpose as a pastor. It's not so much as to build numbers, but I want to build people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to build people. So once they come in, it's my responsibility to feed them the word of God and to ensure the growth. Kind of what someone was saying earlier is that we try to force somebody to receive something that they don't know why they need to receive it. And so, it's just like if I go to the doctor and my doctor tells me, Mr. Williams, we got your blood work back, everything is fine, but we're going to take you right to the back because we got to do open heart surgery. I'm like, huh? You just told me ain't nothing wrong with me. Why you got to operate on my heart? But if the doctor were to tell me and convince me, man, you got 90% blockage in your heart, we need to take you to the back and begin a form of surgery, then I'm more acceptable to, okay, now you can do surgery. You can give me what I need. And I think typically on the top of ministry, the first thing we do is throw Jesus at people. Man, I don't really need. And so, sometimes you got to become something to them for them to receive what it is that you're trying to offer them.
Right.
And so, I just believe that, kind of if we take a step back and reevaluate how we've been doing ministry, then our churches will become more effective. To where, I don't know about y'all individual ministries, but our church is good for the people that come here. They ain't never told me my choir sucked.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, and I was at a very particular.
Maybe because we don't see guide me over our great Jehovah, like you said earlier.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and so I can't go to church as a pastor, go to my choir members as a pastor. I'm their pastor. Pastor's supposed to be encouraging. I can't go in there, all right, y'all, musicians, we need to learn this song, that song. Why, pastor? I like this song. No, you can't sing that song. Why? Because truth is, somebody said we suck. I can't say that. You can't say that. You have to have people up there saying, and so you got to have a pastor's heart when you talk to people. It's been something. I remember I made one sister mad, and I love it to this day. I made one sister mad, and she told me, well, you can't preach that good. Being a pastor, people don't understand that. And your sermon, what and all that. I'm like, oh, God.
Well, Pastor Johnson, I think that that's why we have a core group of people to where you should be able to be verbal and vocalize certain things.
Right.
Especially when you see certain things in your ministry that's subpar, that's not at a level of excellence. You should feel comfortable with addressing that, not with the church as a whole, but with your core group of people. And, that's what change begins to happen. Speaking of change, I think that's one of the things that the COVID has blessed us with, all of us, if we want to accept it or not, is that it's given us the opportunity. I'm going to say for me, being a new pastor in a new church, to where we were afraid of making adjustments or changes in fear of offending or hurting somebody that's been there 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And so now, I think God has me as the captain of the ship, and I'm not able to turn that ship in the direction that we believe that God would have this church to go.
Man, I thank y'all. We're getting ready to get out of here. I'm very grateful for y'all coming on tonight. I want to take this moment. Vicente, one of our teachers went to be with the Lord. Her name was Miss Cassandra Rose Petrie. That was our fourth grade teacher.
Fourth grade.
And she went to be with the Lord. She gave us the opportunity to preach our first revival. Our first revival when we was in fourth grade at the New Faith Church. And then they was on Wayside across the street from Duncan Funeral Home. That's Duncan Funeral Home. Make you look new when you're dead. Yeah. So they was there and we did that and we was there. So we thank God for her life and legacy at Tidwell Elementary School in the North Forest Independent School. And so some great things and great people come out of North Forest ISD. Don't let them fool you now. Vicente Courtney, Marshall Johnson, John Adolph, Ralph West, a whole lot of heavy hitters that come out of North Forest Independent School District. And I thank God for Pastor Bell, Pastor Williams. I want to get your last thoughts to the non-believer, to the person that feel like giving up. the person that feel like throwing in the towel, the person that just said, "I'm tired of this." The matter of fact, they have the little mindset of that little boy. I'm sick of this church. To that person who say, "Why should I watch church virtually, or why should I even go?" Pastor Bell, and you got 30 seconds to tell them why did you come. What can you tell? What can you say to them?
Well, I'll just simply say I've been in the same position. I've been in the same place where I was ready to throw the towel in. I felt like the streets loved me more than the church did. But I'm here to tell you that God is certainly able to change that feeling, to change that emotion. I invite you to try him. I invite you to understand who he is. I invite you to go somewhere that will not just make you feel happy, but that will build you up, educate you, and let you actually experience who God is. Because if you have that feeling, then you haven't got the true experience of who God is. Because he'll never leave you nor forsake you. So just trust in him. Come learn about him. If you need a hand, tag me. I'll grab him and we can walk together.
Awesome. Pastor Courtney, there's this young sister. She's on the college campus. She have forgotten her worth. Matter of fact, her life just got so crazy, and she became a doorknob. Everybody had a turn. What can you tell her in order to bring her to Christ?
Why are you gonna give me this one? Here's what I would say. That there's more value in between your ears than there are in between your legs. That the value that you have to God isn't based on what you can do for him. Although, you've kind of been living this kind of transactional life, understand this. Your value to God is far more significant than a transaction that you can do for him. He loves you with an everlasting love. That's what the Bible tells us. And that's if that ain't enough, I don't know what else to tell you. That your value is connected primarily to who you are as a person. The Bible is clear that when God looks at you, he sees you as one who was fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. And so that's probably what I would say.
Wow. Pastor Arthur Williams, you got somebody in the chair. You're giving them a Southside fade. They've never been to church. They don't know who Jesus is. They don't even understand why you preach. You only got 30 seconds to introduce them to Jesus. What would you say? Wait a minute. Stop. Unmute your mic, man. Now.
Okay, there we go. We good now?
Now, you got 30 seconds. Now, what would you say?
Well, I will start off by telling them that, once again, you won't accept what you don't feel like you have a need for. And so, most of the guys that have come to that chair, they may live a lifestyle that's outside of what's popular. And I will try to make myself relevant so we can keep an open line of communication. And I'll let them know that some of the same things that you have done, that I have done already. And I was headed in that wrong direction. But it was something when I heard about this man named Jesus, and I began to explain who Christ is to me, basically, and hopefully they would receive him based on that particular conversation.
Awesome. Wow. 3 different point of views. 3 different people who live in 3 different major areas. They're around doing major work. If you're ever in the Dallas area, if you're ever in Dallas, Texas, make sure you stop by Anderson Road.
Street.
Well, same thing. Make sure you go by there, right off Bear.
Yes, sir.
Across from the subdivision of the police station.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? And go check out Pastor Bell at the Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church. If you're ever in the great city of Austin, our state capital, and if you're there, go check out my boy, Dr. Galen Clark. And then you never know, you might get a chance to hear Pastor Vicente Lamont Courtney II. All right. Now we love Vicente, even though he's a Kappa, but we ain't gonna talk about that today. You know what I'm saying? And then whenever you're in Houston, and if you ride through South Park, even when you go, make sure you stop by Timmy Chan's, the original one, but make sure you go to the Greater St. Paul Church. And let me tell you something. You're going to have a good person now that's going to give you the word of God from the bottom and from his whole heart with great people. Look here. We getting ready to get out of here now. And we thank God for these great men of God who take time out their busy schedule to help us here tonight. Again, if you'd like to be a blessing to us and what we're trying to do, sow a seed into us. $1, $2, $3. Hey, it helps. Let's be real. Ministry costs. These graphics cost money. Help me pay for it. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
We want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on tonight. Y'all did an excellent job. Thank you so much. Anytime you need us, we're here for you. And we've had a great conversation on tonight.
Hey, I just got a question. Is that an Apple computer behind you back there? Like the 1980 edition?
That's exactly why.
Man, y'all need to
I told you the church is 20 years behind culture, Doc. What did I tell you? He's 20 years behind culture. I told you.
Oh man.
My next
Hey, Marshall,
talk about that computer.
Nah, they use a floppy disk. Hey, whoever's watching this broadcast needs to cash up that brother so he can get him an up-to-date computer.
Get him an updated computer. Come to Windows at least. Come to Windows.
Go with a Chromebook or something.
Oh man, we've enjoyed you fellas, man. Y'all, I know y'all are great friends with the bishop, but I've enjoyed you all and being inside of the pastor study. Y'all are welcome anytime. All right.
Anytime.
Yes, sir.
Y'all be blessed. We're gonna pray for your ministries. We're gonna pray for your families. We're gonna pray that God continue to be a blessing to you and be a blessing through you as you continue to do His work. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Y'all have a good night. Bishop, I've enjoyed tonight.
Yeah, man, you know, what can I say? It's always been great, man. Like I say, I grew up with Vicente. I got my life right with Garen, and Arthur has always mentored me. Thank you for allowing me to do this tonight. Being that again, like I said, if y'all want to be a blessing to us, hey, Miss Getaway, hey, y'all want to be a blessing to us, hey, look, it won't hurt. $1, $2, $3. Y'all see, they said I need a new computer. I mean, I need a laptop, son. That's what I'm saying. Help me out. You know, but honestly though, we're trying to do some great things. And look here, if y'all got any questions that you want answered, get it to us in enough amount of time so we can try to help you. Remember, we told you, we want to be able, what? Oh, that's right. We want to be able to help you. So help us. Help you, okay? Any question? We got some great shows lined up the rest of the month, and prayerfully, you continue to love on us because we want to love on you, okay? In the meantime,
all right. I think as we get ready to wrap this thing up, I think tonight, as we look at how the church is going to look moving forward, I think that we all can testify that the church is definitely going to look different.
Right.
To that person, I'm sorry. I'm just the mailman. Don't kill the messenger.
Right.
But that person that has been at the church for 30, 40, 50 years and expect for us to go back to church the same way we did before COVID, we have to reevaluate some things. We have to reevaluate some of our methods. We've noticed that some of the things that we were doing in our worship services were really just time consuming, didn't matter, didn't amount to a whole lot, but there's some things that we can do in order for us to point people to Jesus. And I
Right.
heard a preacher say this on last night, that if our ministries are not pointing people to Jesus, then we're in doing the wrong thing. We're not in it for him. So we have to do everything that we can that's going to be pleasing in his sight to point people. Through your singing, you ought to point people to Jesus. Through
Right.
your preaching, you ought to point people to Jesus. Through your praying and your reading the scripture, you ought to point people to Jesus. When we go to the store, you know, we can point people to certain aisles where they can find certain items, but we ought to be able to tell people how to get to Jesus.
Jesus.
And you know, it's not necessarily you need to go down to this street and that street and make a right, and then you'll be at this church. But you ought to be able to present him in a way to wherever you are, whoever you're in front of, that they may be able to acknowledge him, accept him, and live for him.
Right.
And so that's where we ought to be in this season.
In this season.
In this season, that's where we ought to be. And so I'm going to challenge every one of you that's still on, everybody that's going to continue to watch this. I'm going to challenge you to be the hands, to be the feet that Jesus needs, that you may be able to take his word and his church wherever you go.
Right. And you know, look here, I'm going to say this. I know I've said a lot, but I'm going to say this. And I'm leaving like this. I want to first of all thank God for all of you who've been praying for me and my family. We have been through a lot this past month of August, from the loss of a cousin, the loss of an aunt, and the loss of a church member here at the Dale Chapel Church, who was such a sweetheart. But God is still good, and he's still kind. He's been faithful. And then I want you to watch who you listen to. Watch what you read. Watch what you allow to go into your eyes and into your ears. Because if my boy was here, he would simply say this. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish, but they forgot about Shady. Trials dark on every hand, and we cannot understand. All the ways of God will lead us to that blessed promised land. He'll guide us with his eye, and we'll follow until we die, and we'll understand it better by and by. From Western Plains to Eastern Hills.
To Autumn Hills.
To Autumn Hills. You've been inside the Pastor Study.
God bless you. Have a good night.